What is up, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers therapy session, Wisconsin, Michigan. I am so ticked off right now on Wisconsin. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. As always, Michigan, Wisconsin therapy show, reaction show. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you for jumping into this. Mike in Verona, you were in the queue. If you want to jump on the show, come back in. I'd love to talk to you. We do have Rajiv jumping in. We're going to talk the Michigan-Wisconsin game. Rajiv, as always, I'm grateful for your presence, my friend. It is still believe with Rajiv?
I mean, it is only because I didn't expect us to win this game. I think we have to win. We have to beat Minnesota, but wow, what a rough day, man.
Oh, let's start here, because there's a lot to talk about in this game. There's a lot to unpack. I want to kind of start with the question everybody's talking about: to foul or to not foul. So obviously we were up 3. Michigan had the ball in regulation, inbounding it. You got to under 5 seconds. Then you had the Dickinson shot. Do you foul in that situation? Where are you at on this? Because I don't think it's as perfectly cut and dry as maybe people think, but where are you at on this? It's been talked about a lot already.
I truthfully don't understand why we are one of the only programs seemingly that haven't come into the new times of looking at the analytics and understanding that you don't need to give people that are good 3-point shooters open or any 3-point shots at the end of the game. It's not necessary. Foul, especially when we're up. I think it was 8.1 seconds left, I believe, when they inbounded the ball. We need to foul. There is no reason not to foul, none whatsoever. And I don't even think they were in the double bonus, which is another thing. I mean, there's no reason not to foul there. I still believe, and I think that they should have fouled even out when it was 2.1 seconds left on that play that Dickinson actually did make the shot. I still think there was an opportunity to foul. Now, obviously, since they didn't do it the first time, they weren't going to do it there. But I wanted Jordan Davis to foul him when he was trying to go up there and intercept the ball. I respect him trying to do that. But at that point, you foul the guy. There's less than there's. It wasn't a clean pass in. That was a really tough inbounds play. Mm-hmm. And he launched up in the air. That's a perfect opportunity to pounce and foul because no one's shooting the ball. No one's doing anything. 2 seconds left. Honestly, as soon as that ball went up, I knew it was going in because, of course, it was Dickinson, and that's just ridiculous. But, yeah, what are we doing? Why are we the only team that doesn't do this? It doesn't make any sense. It's simple. Look at the analytics. Look at what we need to do. Foul, put them on the line. There is no reason not to. Not necessarily right at 8 seconds. Do it with 5 or 6 as he's dribbling up the court. Let the clock run down, and while you can, you have to foul.
First of all, I just want to say I have this comment here from Spencer Wagner. At least the Bucks beat the Suns. I'm a Suns fan. This doesn't help me. Spencer, thank you for jumping in. I just am so. First of all, I want to start. I hate Michigan right now. They are maybe my least favorite Big Ten basketball program. No, they are. They are my least favorite Big Ten basketball program. Juwan Howard is a chump. He put hands on people. He had a lame excuse. Hunter Dickinson is a chump. He stomped. There's a Twitter clip. Go find it if you haven't seen it. He stomped on Tyler Wall. Like literally, you could tell he put a foot into his body, looking to cause some damage when Tyler Wall went down. Like I hate Michigan. Beating them, sweeping them would have been awesome. And for Hunter Dickinson to step up and make a hero shot in the last moment and then mean mug the crowd like he did anything, screw off.
And us letting him take that shot, like wow. There were 8 seconds left, and they're inbounding the ball, and the announcer's talking about it. Everyone talks about it, and I just. What do you mean? Why do you think it's just because he's just in that old school thinking? Like, what do you think is the reason that Greg Gard's not doing this? And this clearly is his policy.
He is old school. I would say this. This is, I think, where I differ from you a little bit. When it got to 2.1, I wouldn't have fouled because I think it's really easy in that situation for a guy just to, and we talked about this a little off air, to kind of flail his arms up and say, I'm shooting and get 3 free throws. Like, I hate the dude. He hit a crazy tough shot. I mean, that shot goes in, 5% of the time? I mean, let's be real here. But before that, 100% on board with you, Rajiv. I would have put them on the line because coaches always, like, they're not guaranteed to make their free throws either, right? Like, they could miss their free throws and the game's essentially over right there. You don't even need to make another free throw. I absolutely put them on the line. But Greg Gard's old school. He comes from the Bo Ryan old school style where he wants to coach defense, and I don't think he wants to foul. Now, I haven't heard, there is a comment in here, and I haven't seen this because I went right from the game to this show. There was a comment where Brian D said, Gard said the plan was to foul. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with Brian, and I appreciate you bringing that. If the plan is to foul, then you executed the plan incredibly poorly. So I don't know. I think he's an old school coach. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to play defense. He wants a lot of control, and it frustrates me because I would have fouled. I would have put him on the line. I would have preserved the win. However, with 2.1 left, in that case, I play defense, and I just trust they're not going to make a miracle shot, which, quite frankly, they did. Like, that's a miracle shot. He's 5 feet behind the line, scrambling to get the ball, and heaves it up. I mean, it sucks. It is annoying that he did get a clean look at it. I mean, he had a clean look at it, and I mean, even if someone was up in his face, he would have had a harder time. But I mean, that was just, and I feel like every Badger fan probably thought the same thing. As soon as the game went into overtime, there was just no way. And at that point, overtime started off, pretty decent for both teams. It was who was going to miss first, and we did, right? I mean, whoever was going to miss first, and someone was going to go up by 2 possessions. And that was it. And that's exactly what happened. At that point, we're just, firing up prayers from 3. Nothing's going down. And, we were done at that point. I'm going to bring Mike from Verona on. You were on earlier. You kicked out. Mike, if you have on, come off mute. Let us know what you think. Where are you at on this game?
I mean, I said it in the chat. I think that, it's just a lucky shot by I'm not going to say his name, but they tried to foul. You saw it. I mean, I saw it as they're crossing the half court. McGhee tried to foul him. They just didn't call it. And Klesmit, who was awesome, had 2 great blocks, and it's a lucky win for Michigan.
Mm-hmm. So you hit on it, man. That Klesmit block, like the worst part about this game, it basically people are going to forget about that incredible Klesmit block in the corner. That was insane.
And don't forget his block at the rim earlier.
Yes. Right. Oh man. So, Mike, where are you at on the conversation with fouling? Like, do you want to foul in this situation?
100%. I'm there. I referee basketball too, and we talk about it when we got late game situations, and we look for that. And I'm kind of surprised that the refs didn't call that, but it wasn't that hard of a foul by McGhee. He should have crushed him. As he crossed.
So Mike, you actually thought they were trying to foul. I missed that. I didn't see that.
If you go back and watch it, first of all, you see Gard like saying foul after under 5, but also you see McGhee swatting at him just as he passes it. Probably 25 feet from the basket as he passes it toward the corner. So to go back and watch it, you'll see that.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I'm glad that he was trying to call for that. I still think that if that is the case, execution is poor, and I don't think we're practicing it enough.
Agreed. And remember, what if Chucky was in that situation? Chucky probably would have crushed him as he crossed half court. And even if they get a intentional, there's only 2 shots in the ball with, but that doesn't matter. They wouldn't have called it intentional. But I'm saying that's a big thing. McGhee never has been in that situation in college, and that injury hurt too.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Because we talked about during the chat, we talked a little bit about Hepburn going out in the offense, but it's really a situational play down the stretch that if Hepburn's there, and if that's what Gard wanted to do, and Mike, thank you for bringing that up, Hepburn probably does crush them, right? They probably go to the line. Even if they hit 2, we probably hang on. We get Connor the ball. Connor's going to hit his free throws, and we probably escape with a win. And it's that Hepburn injury that puts McGhee into that spotlight, and maybe he doesn't execute as well as he needs to. And that's the breaks in a close game. Like, it's one play of execution.
Yeah, totally. And if you think about when we talk about breaks in the close game, you brought that up. It's like, I mean, if that lucky shot doesn't happen, if Dickinson doesn't make that, then where are we at? We're talking about an unbelievable road win in the conference. We just had another unexpected win. We're definitely, I think if we won today, we would have definitely been in the tournament. I believe that. But I mean, at that point, we're hyped up, and that's how close the margins are. They've always been like that. And I think it puts us in a really interesting position going forward now. There's been a couple comments in here about what it takes to come into the tournament. And I think that's a good discussion for this, what happens now, right?
And we're going to get to that next on Locked On Badgers. Mike, thank you for the comment. We're going to take a quick break for our friends of the show. We talk about Bill Barr a lot. We're going We're going to talk about our friends Built Bar, your nutritional supplement for 2023, getting a little healthier, looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat and calories. Then you want to grab a Built Bar. It's something I've used a lot. I use it as my nutritional sidekick. And if you're like me, you want to eat a little healthier. But I'm also kind of a guy who likes taste. I have a hard time just eating bland healthy, right? Built Bar is my number one way to compensate for that. You got to try them. They're healthy, but they're actually tasty. I don't know how they do it. It's 100% chocolate, delicious, perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, 100% real chocolate and unbelievable flavors. Churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. I'm not sure how they do it, but these things taste like candy bars. My kids like them, which tells you they taste like candy bars because they have an innate sense of never eating anything that is actually healthy. Right. So if they eat them, you know that they taste well, plus amazing macros, only 130 calories, a ton of protein. And you no longer have to go to a website to order it. You can go to Walmart, Sam's Club. They got it all there. Built Bar's gone mainstream. We've been with them from the jump, but they've gone mainstream. Head to your nearest Walmart today. Walk to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars, pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, or go to Sam's Club, get the 13-bar box of brownies, batter, or churro. You can thank me later. Thank you again for listening to Locked On Badgers, making this one of your first listens every day. Really do appreciate all of y'all. I appreciate Mike for dialing in, Rajiv for jumping on as always. When you're done here, go check out Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube, Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's keep going here. We got a bunch of comments to get to. Get Rajiv back on. Again, really do appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm still annoyed by this loss, by the way. Jason Geldon says we need to somehow beat Purdue and Minnesota to make the tournament. I don't know if we need to beat Purdue and Minnesota. I think if we beat Minnesota and win a game in the Big Ten tournament, I don't know, man. I don't think we need to beat Purdue and Minnesota, though.
I agree. I think, look, if we beat Purdue, we're in, period. There's no, if we somehow pull that game off, it's an automatic, we're in. I do think we need to beat Minnesota, though, for sure. Because if we lose that, it now adds a bad loss into our resume, which we cannot have. But of course, end of the season, we're going to Minnesota. I'm already scared about that game. It's already creeping me out. But yeah, we need to win that. I don't even think we necessarily need to win a game in the Big Ten tournament. I know that you've said that before. I feel like, again, for some reason, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't have all the numbers, all the data they're looking at, but every publication you look at, you see the Badgers in the last 4 in category, even coming into today. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily believe that we need to beat Purdue and Minnesota. No one expects us to beat Purdue. We're not going to beat Purdue, most likely. So if we beat Minnesota, I think at that point, we're still in that last 4 in. Had we won today and beat Minnesota, then I think we probably would have been out of that play-in game. As it is now, I think if we make the tournament, we're probably going to be in the play-in game. But I guess that also depends on what happens in the Big Ten tournament. But I don't necessarily think we need to do well. Now, if we have a bad loss there, if we I don't know that what the way the brackets are going to line out. If we end up playing, a Nebraska or Minnesota in there and we lose, then yeah, you have a problem.
It's going to make you feel better if we win one, though, right?
Yeah, true.
You're going to sleep a little better. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about, because the majority of this conversation is going to be hyper focused on should Greg Gard have fouled, or should they have executed better, right? Like Mike talked about, he said he saw it. I have no reason to doubt that. I'll go back and watch it. And that's what another guy, Brian, said in the comments as well. So I'm inclined to believe that's true. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of plays before that, and I go back to Wisconsin had a 3-point lead. Michigan took a deep 3. Hunter Dickinson got the offensive rebound, 2 free throws. You get that rebound, you're up 3 with the ball with about a minute left, right? And then Tyler Wall went down and missed a layup. There are so many plays in the course of a game, and we get so hyper-focused on that last one. But you and I have talked about this a lot, Rashiv. There's a lot that happens before that point. And there were moments in the game where you still had that patent in first half scoring drought. You had some offensive rebounds that Michigan got. And you had, again, a stretch of just this team. It shouldn't surprise us. They are who they are, but they can't consistently score. They can't consistently put it all together, whether it's defense, rebounding, or offense. And we saw the fruits of that today. Like Michigan took advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely some bad decisions and bad situations. I thought I like that you brought up the Tyler Wall missed layup. I thought it was very quick. I believe it was out of a timeout, or it was, and it was a very, very quick shot. And Now, I will say I like that some of the late game situational shots were better. Obviously, Chucky wasn't in the game, so we weren't going to see that fadeaway. But we saw Connor get the ball out of a timeout that was really nice. We saw Tyler Wall get it. I thought that was a little quick, and I think sometimes when Tyler goes for those layups, he just thinks he's not going to get blocked. He thinks he's not going to get defended very well, but he needs to think again. Sometimes maybe pump fake, maybe stop and look for a pass. I thought that was quick, but at the same time, though, there was a lot of good that I think came out of this game too that we have to talk about. And I don't know if you're going to pivot here next time. I've just pivoted for you, but I think we should talk about Connor Essegian because my goodness, did he look amazing. And tonight he was 1 of 8. I think that's correct if I'm looking at it correctly. He was 1 of 8 from 3-point. One of 8, which if you told me that Connor was going to go 1 of 8 from 3, I'd have told you he would have had 7 or 8 points. I mean, come on. He went 1 of 8 and had 24 points because now with Chucky out of the game, you saw a Connor that had to do way more. And he penetrated, he popped, he was very good at manipulating things, moving his body well, getting off good shots. He's so money from wherever he shoots from that. I mean, and I think he was trying a little too hard at the end. Sometimes he took a couple bad shots from 3, not necessarily bad shots for him, but just off balance. He wasn't really, he didn't square up properly, but wow. I mean, look at what he can do when he has to be the main guy scoring. He had 24 points and I feel like he could have had a lot more. Unbelievable performance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to get lost in this, not by us, but just overall, people aren't going to be talking about what Connor did today. And again, had we won that game, all we would be talking about is Connor Essegian. And I just feel like what a game that he had and how amazing is it to have a talent like that.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I titled this show "A Star Is Born" or Connor Essegian is a Star. I forget exactly what it is, but listen, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I've said for 2 months, and not just me, I don't want to say that, people have said, why don't we try to involve him more? He can come downhill off a screen, right? I've talked about that. Let him come downhill and create. He's more than just a shooter. And we saw that today. You could have been doing this. It's a little frustrating to see him score 24, which is hitting 1-3, which means he's feasting inside. He could have been doing this for a while, in my opinion. I don't think we needed Chucky Hepburn to go out to see Connor Essegian start to flourish inside. However, kudos to the kid. A couple of shots were really tough. I mean, he's coming baseline, making finger rolls. There was a play in the first half where we were in the middle of our big time scoring drought. He went baseline, made a finger roll, so listen, if he can score like that inside consistently with the way we know he can shoot threes and the way we know he can hit free throws, you're talking about an all Big Ten performer next year. I mean,
and think about what that just does for his confidence going into the tail end of the season here and into the Big Ten tournament, maybe the NCAAs, that confidence that he has that he can score like that. And the team saw him do that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. This should have been happening. We've been calling for this for a while. But yeah, it was great. And maybe it did take a situation like Chucky going out for Greg to say, all right, well, this is what we need to do. We're going to need to find ways for him to get the ball more. But it worked. And wow, I mean, the things that he can do. And again, he was 1 of 8, guys. He was 1 of 8 from 3, and he scored 24 points. There is no way anyone would have ever imagined that score line for him because he doesn't take that many twos. But look at how just lethal he can be when he gets the ball and he's in a situation where you could see in his body language, the way he was moving, it was, I'm the guy, I need to score. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to dribble in, I'm going to penetrate, I'm going to figure out a way to score. I'm going to be creative. I'm going to create my own shot. He's done that today. And that is going to set him up really, really nicely coming into the last part of the season.
He's going to be I'm going to tell you right now, he could be an All-American player. He really could be by the time he's a junior. He is so good. He can score in so many ways. And now that he's starting to complement his shot with that mid-range game, the game at the rim, he can hit floaters. He can go either side of the rim. He can pull up, hit mid-range. He can hit deep threes. I think he has ability off the dribble as a passer, as a secondary playmaker. I think we're just starting to see the treasure chest get unlocked here with Connor, and I can't wait to see what comes up next. By the way, that should give everybody a lot of optimism and hope for next year. There's a comment somewhere in here, and I lost it already, but how much better can we actually be next year? That's basically the same team coming. I'm telling you, Connor could take a huge jump. He could be scoring 16, 17 a game next year.
If the second half of today looks anything like what next year is going to look like, and then I will also say that this is a Michigan team that even we were talking about how, they were blowing people away. And again, like, while this is a bad year and while we have a lot to complain about watching this basketball team, let's also just realize that they're playing pretty well against good teams. Like the Big Ten is a loaded conference that I know everyone doesn't agree with that statement, but I think it's, the records are showing that it's just every single game is so difficult, and they're in all these games. Like that's not, they're getting, yes, they've lost some blowout losses, but it's been very few. I mean, we have lost a lot of close games. We won a lot of close games. We've lost a lot of close games, but we are in these games. So there has to be credit given to these players and how they're fighting right now, because it's not easy.
All right, we're going to take a very quick break, then get to the rest of your comments, plus some talk on Max Klesmit, who I think we need to hit on. We're going to talk about the next on Locked On Badgers, but first, a quick word from our friends of the show. All right, coming back into the show, got Rajiv here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, really do appreciate everybody tuning in this show after wins or losses. The therapy session, I think, is good for all of us. Rajiv, let's talk about Klesmit a little bit. 19 points. 2 incredible blocks. I mean, that block in the corner of the 3-pointer, I was so hyped. Like I was like screaming in my living room. Like, listen, because we talked about this before. I've talked about this. I know the big picture this season doesn't mean much. It's not a very good season. But in the moment, I so badly want to beat Michigan. And that block, it was like Zion. It's not like Zion, but Zion. It was just like
Zion.
I'm just telling you, athletically, it was crazy to see Klesmit do that in the corner. I would never expect him to be able to do that. But the block at the rim was actually maybe more impressive, to be able to block that and not foul. He was awesome today, man. And we talked about some of the issues with Gard in the portal. He did not address everything he needed to address. No, Klesmit playing well that's not ammunition for the people saying, well, see, Gard did do well. Well, he needed to do better. But Klesmit really balled out today.
He sure did. And, those blocks are about the effort. I mean, I do feel like same thing kind of like we said with Connor. It's when Chucky went out of the game, like you saw their effort just intensify. And those are effort plays. Chucky usually makes big defensive plays at the end of the game, and Max did that tonight. Huge blocks. I mean, I honestly thought that we'd won the game when you had that block, because I thought it was I didn't realize how much time was on the clock. It ended up going out of bounds at 1.8 seconds, or 2 seconds, something like that. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable effort. And also, let's talk about 5 of 8 from 3. 5 of 8. I mean, and he had a couple nice step backs. He took control. He was shooting the ball well. He moved the ball well. He's just, when we missed him, when he was out for a couple games, we lost, and that he is a proven to be a really important part of our team. But he's that effort guy. I mean, look at the effort that Brad Davison used to give every game, and Max Klesmit is kind of like that effort guy. He's just so good. And he lays it all out there. He's not afraid to make those blocks. That block by the rim, and another day that could have been a foul. And that wasn't a foul. It was a good no call, but you certainly could have seen the whistle blow there with something from the body. But what a play. And you've got to be confident enough to make that play. And, you're not going to play scared. You're not going to play like you're going to get a foul. You're going to play aggressive. And he did that. He was so crisp. And yeah, I mean, that block at the end was incredible. It's just too bad that it's going to, once again, it's just going to kind of get brushed under the rug because we couldn't pull it out at the end, but wow.
I know. I mean, it's so sad. Like, I thought that was a game sealing block. I really did. And then you'd have the sweep with Iowa, the sweep with Michigan, the 2 basketball programs I think I hate the most. Like, let me know in the comments, and Rajiv, tell me, I don't really have any hate for Minnesota basketball. It's weird, but I don't. I just don't care about them.
I do because of the name on the front. I do because it's Minnesota. I don't really, any sport that they play, I have hate for them. But I agree on Iowa, especially Fran McCaffrey. Boy, is he a hateable coach to watch. I mean, this is a tangent. I'm only going to do this for a few seconds. But why is he still coaching? Why has he not been kicked out of every single game he's coaching in? He is unacceptably inappropriate with officials. Like the things he does, the things that he says. The NCAA and the Big Ten need to put a stop to that. Put a stop to it. He is out of control, and I'm so glad we beat them. Sorry.
No, that's a great tangent. I agree with you. There's a part of me that does. We've talked about this before. There's a part of me that does find it a little entertaining, but it's gone past that point, right? Like, there's a point where if you do it once or twice, it kind of makes the game a little more exciting, especially in a season where it's been not the most enjoyable season.
Right.
But when you continue to do it, you're just a heel at this point. Like, you're just a doofus. He had that stare down the other day where it's just like, what are you doing? Stop being
exactly. I mean, his kids play on the team. Like his kids play on that team. And like, I mean, you see every time he stands up and does anything, you see like 3 assistant coaches run off the bench because they know they have to protect him from getting kicked out of every game. It is unacceptable. If I was an Iowa fan, and yes, I'm saying this because they're our rivals, but I would be upset about that if I was an Iowa fan. I really would. I did get upset at Bo Ryan at times. I thought he was too rough on officials, and I said that back then. But this is ridiculous. That guy's got to be stopped.
Agreed. He's got to be stopped. I agree. Mike from Verona probably agrees. He coaches basketball, or referees basketball. Sorry, so I'm sure he deals with his share of hotheads. I want to start here. I want to go to Jake's comment because I think this is a really good one. With the effort you see out there, it's pretty clear there is no lost locker room. This is something we talked about previously. This season kind of derailed a little bit mid-season, right? With the inconsistency, the injuries, people out there kind of, really, I would just say, kind of calling for Coach Gard's head. This locker room is not lost. They have busted their butt. And the results aren't always there because it's a mediocre team, and that's on Greg Gard. But the locker room is absolutely not lost, and that's also on Greg Gard.
100%. Yeah, I mean, think about what our record would be right now if Tyler Wall had not gotten injured. Because not only did he not play and we lost those games, when he came back, he wasn't really 100%. And I feel like now he's to the point where he's healthy, and you've seen his performances improve a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I absolutely believe that we would have been better off if the injuries would happen. That being said, absolutely right. I mean, the effort is not to be questioned at this point. You can question in-game decisions by Greg Gard, which obviously we've talked about, but the locker room believes in him. The players have always believed in him. That coaching staff, they seem like a very tight-knit unit. And yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel like, once again, it's not a good year. We obviously have had some problems. We've had injury issues, but we're okay as a program. There's no reason to think otherwise. At least in my opinion.
You and I have agreed on that one. A couple more comments in here. There's one about from Clayton. I'm going to butcher this last name, Rajiv, and I apologize. Clayton Czernowski?
Zernikowski. I'm going to go with that.
Here we go. Do you guys think the Gus bus will be good right away? Obviously, referencing Gusty Alden.
Ryan definitely does.
Yes. Where are you at on Gus?
I do. Yeah, I mean, look, that kind of a talent, that build, the frame that he has, he's exactly the kind of person we need in the post, and so he's going to bring a lot. He's the kind of guy that we had a lot under Bo Ryan and Mike Wilkinson type of a guy. I feel like he's definitely got the ability. I'm always a little bit questionable about how early people are going to be great. You just never know. I mean, yeah, we see their talent. They come in, and I didn't think Connor was going to be this good this year. Justin certainly did. Credit to him. He called that, and Connor's been amazing. So, yeah, maybe Gus shows up next year and he's out there playing right away and he has a big impact. I think he will be good, really good, and he's going to be great, in fact, but I just don't know if it's going to be right away. It's tough to say.
Yeah, I think he's a rotational guy right away, and then it's TBD, right? Like, to your point, it's really hard, but here's the thing with Gus that allows him, in my opinion, to step in right away is he's already has the physical frame to compete in the trenches, in the Big Ten immediately. He's got the skill set. He's got the IQ. He checks so many boxes from a guy in terms of, can he step on the court and play right away with college players? He's playing at a high level in high school against really good competition, and physically he doesn't need any more development. He's going to be able to step in and physically push people around right away, and he's skilled. So those things kind of match up. There's a question about his ceiling that people have talked about. That's fair. I think a guy like Nolan Winter may have a higher ceiling ultimately, but he's going to take a little longer. He needs to physically develop, whereas Gus Yalden's going to step in and play right away. He's absolutely going to help next year's rotation. Now, to Rajiv's point, what that means, is it 8 points a game? Is it 5 points a game, but a really solid rotational big? I think that's in question, but he's going to help the depth. I would be stunned, barring injury, if he doesn't. And that's kind of where I'm at there. Anything else on this game? Let's actually talk about the Hepburn injury. Because there's a couple questions in here about if we've heard anything. I haven't looked, to be honest. I went right from the game to this. If he's hurt, let's say long-term, Commandant Klink comes in here as well, who's our point guard. It's Kamari McGhee. But if he's hurt long-term, who's the backup point guard for starters? Is that Isaac Lindsey? And do we beat Minnesota without a Chucky Hepburn? Like, how much does that, right? This is a team without depth to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've seen what has happened when we've lost starters in the past, and we pretty much lost all those games. And frankly, I think that losing Chucky, look what happened in the tournament last year when we lost Chucky. So I think Kamari will start. I think Lindsey backs him up. But yeah, I think that pretty much puts a pin in the end of the season. I don't really feel like we can compete in the Big Ten tournament. We can't compete in the NCAA tournament if we don't have Chucky Hepburn. I mean, he's certainly done some things to annoy us, but he's one of our best players, and he can do so much offensively, and defensively he does a lot. Now, that being said, we saw today that Connor and Klesmit both stepped up, and you're going to need a lot of people stepping up, and it would take a near perfect game from Essegian and from Klesmit, and from the guys down low to make up for the loss that Hepburn is for us. I don't know much about it. I haven't read anything either. I really, really hope he's back. But if he's out for Minnesota, I still think we beat Minnesota. I really do, because boy, they're really bad. And Kamari McGhee also, I mean, stepped up very nicely. He didn't come in there and turn the ball over a lot or anything like that. He did well. I thought, he was a good understudy today. So, but yeah, I think that pretty much puts an end to this season if he's out.
Yep. Bo Dragon asks, does Gus play point guard? No, he does not. Bo always throwing little needles in there. He does say if he has to be able to shoot the three, or he's just another dude. He has range. Gus can shoot. Let's keep going here. Mike Boss says McGhee and Klesmit at point guard. Klesmit was a point guard in high school, where Beach Bum comes in as well. Klesmit, again, though, it's not just can someone else capably step in at point guard. There's 30 minutes to replace. That's the problem. Now McGee's going to eat into that, but then who plays those extra 10 or 15 minutes? Now is it Isaac Lindsey, right? Or are you asking Klesmit to play 35 minutes a game? Like, that's the problem that you run into, is there's just nobody on the bench that can step into even another 10 minutes that you feel comfortable at. But I know you like Isaac Lindsey probably a little bit more than I do. I don't think he's quite there. It's a shallow bench.
It is. And if we get into foul trouble, that's going to come into play heavily, right? I mean, you never know, right? We could get into some issues early on in a game, and that's just going to sink us. I do like Isaac Lindsey more than you, and I think that he's a guy. I think he's a guy that if he gets some time out there, and he needs playing time, if he were to get a run and, play 20 minutes in a game, I think you would start to see that I really like his poise. And I think he can't shoot it. I mean, he has the ability to quick pops, and I like his poise on the ball. I think he's all right. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I get that. But if he is relied upon, and if he has to come in and play a lot more now, I think you're going to see him step up a little bit. Now, that being said, our next game is against Purdue. I don't think we're going to look good at all against Purdue. And if Chucky Hepburn doesn't play, let's just not play the game, and let's just go to Minneapolis and go with that one.
Yeah, listen, if Hepburn plays, there's still a very realistic chance we don't look good against Purdue. Even though Purdue has cooled off a little bit, like, we still are who we are, right? We're not suddenly but again, they're playing hard. They're in every game. They haven't mailed it in. I still think they have a reasonable chance at getting into March Madness, which in a down year is a pretty darn good thing, by the way. In a year where everybody's pissed off about the performance, if you still get to March, like, I know people aren't happy about, well, your expectations should be high. I don't know. Should they? In a bad year, should your expectations be we sneak into March? I don't know. Again, I think, Rajiv, maybe this is the wrong conversation for you and I to have, because I think we kind of agree on it. But I think it's frustrating that we lost to Michigan. It's frustrating that Hepburn got hurt. I still think we're fine. I think we're going to be better next year. I think we lose to Purdue. I think we beat Minnesota.
I mean, people there are no expectations from this year. We've talked ad nauseum about how this team is not very good. So anything that we get out of this, as far as I'm concerned right now, is a bonus. If we get to see our team in March Madness, I will be very happy. I will, go to a Vegas casino and watch the games. It'll be awesome. But I mean, I feel like we have that chance. We have to beat Minnesota, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully Hepburn is healthy, but at this point, anything we get out of this year, I'll be happy, because I still believe our future's okay. We're fine. We have a lot to look forward to. So, especially in the football program, basketball, we'll see what happens. We've got a lot of good recruits coming in. I think we're okay too. You and I agree.
Commandant Klink says it just kills me when we play 4-on-5 with Gilmore out there. Face it, Gard blew it in the transfer portal, not getting a big man. Agree. Like, I really do. I was getting kind of, I don't want to say vocal, but getting frustrated on our Discord in the game chat. I don't think you can play Gilmore as much as you do. And if that means you put Hodges in, if it means you put Ilver in, if it means more minutes for Davis, you go small. Nobody guards him on defense. It makes it impossible to score for stretches. And I don't care how hard he plays at everything else. I just can't imagine Ilver is that big of a liability on defense, or Hodges is so bad that like the alternative is to play 4-on-5. And I hate feeling like I'm crushing a kid who's really obviously busting his butt, but they don't guard him on defense. And it's so difficult when you have that extra guy clogging up the paint on pick and rolls, or the extra guy who's just sagging off of them. So I agree entirely on this. I think Gard plays him too much.
Yeah, I would like to see Hodges in there more. I think we've said that too. I mean, I think that, for the few minutes we have seen him, there's no reason to think he can't be better out there again if he gets playing time, because a lot of these guys, if they get a chance, you'll see what they're made of. My stance on Carter Gilmore is not quite where you are, because I understand, look, we have no depth. And at this point, he puts in so much effort, and I want the guy on the court that gives that effort. And I understand that he can't do anything offensively. He misses layups. It's pretty bad, but boy, the guy gives it his all. And I feel like when you sometimes you just need him to come in there, do that. And then the people that are sitting out, you get a breather. You get to see that guy just just busting his butt every single play. And I think that helps kind of permeate through the team a little bit. Yeah, I'm probably just being Mr. Optimist here about him, but I appreciate the effort that he brings. And yes, he's not good. And yes, we need someone else there. But look at our bench. Look at what we have. If he's not going to play Hodges, he's got to play someone.
Yeah. It's a hard conversation to have, because you want to not be critical. It's not on Carter Gilmore for being in that position, right? It's more of a lack of depth that's forced him in that position, and he's killing it for the team. So you try not to be critical of it, but it's also very clear to see offensively how it impacts the ecosystem of that offense, where one guy doesn't have to be guarded. And it's just tough. It is what it is this year, though. Is probably the best way to put it. Right. Badger and Bournemouth, thank you for jumping in. Says Badgers look faster with Kamari McGhee out there over Chucky. Offense seemed neater. It was interesting to see how clean the offense ran with Kamari. I don't want to take that. It's a very small sample size, and I don't want to take anything away from Chucky Hepburn, but it is interesting to me. I think Kamari, we talked about it before, probably could have played more earlier in the year. He didn't seem overmatched, I guess, is the takeaway there for me.
Yeah, I mean, preseason, we all thought he was going to be one of our top, guys off the bench, and we were excited to see what he brought. He definitely had that speed, and again, I think now that he's gonna be forced to get in some playing time, assuming that Chucky isn't going to play the next game. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, I think all these guys on the bench that we've been wanting to see, I'm sure they have a lot to offer us if they play. And I think McGhee is doing a good job. I was really pleased with his poise. That was a tough game. I mean, you're talking about a very, very tight game on the road against Michigan, a team that we don't like to play. I mean, that was a pressure cooker for him. And he did very well coming in and playing that whole game out. We could have seen a situation where he turned the ball over a lot. He had a lot of bad plays. He did well. And I will even comment on the fact that he stepped up to the line, having not shot a single free throw, hardly at all, and just knocked down two of them. And I'm like, that was huge, man. Like, yeah, I give a lot of credit to McGhee today. I think that's a really, really hard situation to go into.
No, I agree. It's a great point, Rajiv, that you brought up. Those two free throws were how many dudes on this team do you have confidence step up to the line and hit both those free throws? Connor and anybody else?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely only Connor. Absolutely only. And he is by far the best. And Badger and Bournemouth, I hope you watch my Tottenham Hotspur team play today. Fantastic.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in. A couple more comments on the Bucks beating the Suns. Yeah,
these guys are really. Everyone. I love how you're like, I'm a Suns fan. Everyone knows that you're a Suns fan, and everyone's just trolling you right now, and I love it. This is great.
Yuck points up that Jay Crowder buried the former team. Screw Jay Crowder. Mike says, "How about those Bucks beating the Suns?" We'll see. Kevin Durant is incoming. That Kevin Durant train is about to pull into the station, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Really, really do appreciate. Frustrating loss for sure. We're going to continue talking about it coming up. Bunch of content on Wisconsin, and let's keep it going. Rajiv, also, thank you, by the way.
Thank you.